You lost the game before you even knew it was one.
My wife's sweat smells like another man's cologne. That's the first thing I notice when Tara stumbles through our front door at 7:30 on a Tuesday morning, her yoga pants clinging to her like a second skin, her face flushed in a way that has nothing to do with cardio. Good workout? I ask from behind my coffee mug, watching her fumble with her gym bag. The zipper catches, and I catch a glimpse of something that definitely isn't workout gear. A men's tank top, size large. I'm a medium. Amazing, she breathes, not meeting my eyes. Trent really pushed me today. I think I'm finally seeing some real progress. Trent, always Trent. For the past 3 months, every conversation has circled back to her personal trainer like he's some kind of fitness messiah. Trent says this. Trent recommends that. Trent thinks I should try harder. Maybe I should meet this miracle worker, I suggest, stirring my coffee with deliberate slowness. Send him a thank you basket for all the personal attention he gives my wife. Tara freezes halfway up the stairs. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing at all, just being grateful. But I'm not grateful. I'm Nick Callahan. And I've been building houses in this town for 15 years. I know the difference between solid foundation and something that's about to collapse. My marriage is definitely the latter. The evidence keeps piling up like lumber at a construction site. Late-night gym sessions that run past closing time. New lingerie that never makes an appearance in our bedroom. Phone calls she takes in the garage, speaking in hushed tones about training schedules and personal goals. My neighbor, Mrs. Grant, delivers the ending blow on Wednesday afternoon. She's 73, legally blind without her glasses, but she sees everything that matters in this neighborhood. Nicholas, dear, she calls over the fence while I'm fixing our back deck. I saw that lovely Instagram story from the Iron Den yesterday. Your Tara looked so close with her trainer. She hands me her phone, squinting through her bifocals. The gym's official account has posted a series of workout videos, and there's my wife in the background of one, laughing as Trent's hands guide her through a stretch that looks more like foreplay than physical therapy. The comments are even better. Maya, Tara's best friend, has written, "Get it, girl." Jen, another gym regular, adds, "That trainer is so attentive. Lucky you." I screenshot everything before handing the phone back. Thanks, Mrs. Grant. Very educational. That evening, Tara critiques my dinner conversation skills while picking at her salad. You should learn from Trent. He's such a good listener. Really engaged, you know? Present. I'm present, I say. I'm sitting right here. Physically, maybe. But when's the last time you really focused on me? When's the last time you made me feel special? I want to ask when's the last time she made me feel like anything other than a paycheck with legs, but I bite my tongue. Instead, I smile. You're absolutely right. I should definitely send Trent that thank you basket. Show him how much I appreciate all the extra attention he gives you. Nick, don't be weird about this. Weird? I'm being grateful. Tomorrow, I'm sending the most beautiful fruit basket to the Iron Den, addressed specifically to Trent, thanking him for all the personal training he provides at our home. The color drains from Tara's face. At our home? What are you talking about? Just expressing gratitude, honey. Nothing wrong with that. Thursday morning, I drive to the nicest fruit and flower shop in town. The basket cost me $200, but it's worth every penny. Imported chocolates, exotic fruits, expensive wine, and a card that reads, Dear Trent, thank you for all the personal attention you give to my wife, especially during your private sessions at our home. Your dedication to her individual needs is truly above and beyond. Gratefully yours, Nick Callahan. I have it delivered to the Iron Den at 11 a.m., right during peak workout hours. By noon, my phone is buzzing with texts from Frank, my construction foreman, and the closest thing I have to a best friend in this gossipy town. Dude, you need to get down to Memorial Hospital. How? I find Frank in the emergency room waiting area, barely containing his laughter. Your boy Trent is getting stitches. His wife Veronica, the professional boxer, she opened that basket right in front of him at the gym. And let's just say she reads cards very carefully. Trent's got a black eye, a split lip, and what the nurses are calling defensive wounds on his arms. Veronica had to be escorted out by security after she threw a 45-pound weight at his head. Where's Tara? That's the best part. She rushed here to check on her trainer, and Veronica cornered her in the parking lot. Your wife's got some interesting bruises on her arms. Nothing serious, But Veronica made it very clear that if she ever sees Tara again, the conversation won't be so friendly. I drive home with a satisfaction that feels better than any completed construction project. Tara's car is already in the driveway, and I can hear her crying through the front door. She's sitting at the kitchen table, ice pack pressed to her left arm, mascara streaked down her cheeks like war paint. "Oh, honey," I say, rushing to her side with exaggerated concern. "What happened?" "You look like you got hit by a truck, or maybe a professional athlete." "This isn't funny, Nick. That woman is psychotic. She attacked me." "Who attacked you?" "Veronica, Trent's wife. She got the wrong idea about something." "What kind of wrong idea?" Tara's eyes dart away from mine. "She thinks Trent and I that we're having some kind of affair." "Which is ridiculous. He's my trainer, that's all." I sit down across from her, folding my hands like I'm conducting a business meeting. "Well, that is ridiculous. I mean, why would she think that? Just because her husband is giving private training sessions to a married woman at the woman's house while her husband is at work, that's completely innocent. He's never been to our house." "Really? Then why did I write that in the card?" The ice pack slips from her hand and hits the floor. "What card?" "The one that came with the thank you basket I sent to Trent. You know, expressing my gratitude for all his personal attention to your individual needs, especially during those private home sessions." Tara's face goes through several color changes, pale white to bright red to a sickly green. "You didn't." "I absolutely did. Cost me $200, but your happiness is priceless." "Nick, you have to fix this. You have to call Veronica and explain that it was a mistake." "What mistake? I was just being a grateful husband." She starts crying again, but these are angry tears, not sad ones. "You did this on purpose. You're trying to ruin my life. I'm trying to show appreciation for the people who make my wife so happy." "Speaking of which, how's your gym membership working out? I imagine the Iron Den might be a little uncomfortable for you now." The next few days are deliciously awkward. Tara can't show her face at the gym, which means her entire social circle, Maya, Jen, and the other workout warriors, get the story secondhand. And in a town this size, secondhand stories grow like weeds. Maya calls me directly on Saturday morning. "Nick, what the heck did you do?" "I sent a fruit basket." "Is that a crime now?" "Veronica Brooks is telling everyone that Tara and Trent were having an affair. She's posting about it on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. She's even tagged Tara's boss." "This is even better than I hoped." "Well, that's unfortunate. Maybe Tara should have thought about that before she started her advanced training program." "You're being a real bastard about this." "I'm being a husband who appreciates good customer service." By Sunday, the story has evolved into something resembling a soap opera. According to Mrs. Grant, who gets her information from the church ladies, who get their information from the grocery store cashiers, who get their information from everyone, Tara and Trent were caught in a compromising position at the gym. Veronica beat them both senseless. And I'm either completely clueless or the smartest man in town. I prefer the latter interpretation. Monday morning brings the first real consequences. Tara comes downstairs in a business suit instead of workout clothes, and her face grim as a funeral director's. "I've been suspended from work," she announces, "pending an investigation into my conduct." "What kind of conduct?" "Someone sent screenshots of Veronica's Facebook posts to HR. Posts that mention me by name and make certain allegations about my character." I pour myself a fresh cup of coffee and lean against the counter. "That's terrible, honey. Who would do such a thing?" "I think we both know who." "I don't have a Facebook account. You know that." "It's technically true. I don't have an account. But Mrs. Grant does, and she's been very helpful in making sure the right people see the right information at the right time. Amazing what you can accomplish with a fruit basket and a 73-year-old woman who's been waiting her whole life to be part of a real scandal." "This has to stop, Nick. You've made your point." "What point is that?" "That you're angry about Trent. Fine, you're angry, I get it. But this is affecting my career, my reputation, everything I've worked for." I set down my coffee mug with deliberate precision. "Tara, I want you to listen to me very carefully. I sent a thank you basket to your trainer. That's all I did. Everything else, Veronica's reaction, the social media posts, your work situation, that's all the natural consequence of other people's choices. Not mine. You orchestrated this whole thing. I expressed gratitude. If that caused problems, maybe you should ask yourself why." She stares at me for a long moment, and I can see her trying to figure out exactly how much I know and how much I'm guessing. The truth is, I know everything. The GPS tracker I installed in her car, under the pretense of fixing a brake problem, has shown me every trip to Trent's townhouse. The voice-activated recorder I hid in her gym bag has captured hours of intimate conversations. The credit card statements I've been monitoring show charges at restaurants and hotels on days when she claimed to be at work. But I don't tell her any of that, not yet. I want a divorce, she says finally. Okay. Okay, that's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say? If you're not happy, you're not happy. Life's too short to stay in a bad marriage. She wasn't expecting that response. She was expecting me to fight, to beg, to make promises about counseling and second chances. Instead, I'm agreeing with her, and it's clearly throwing off her entire strategy. I'll be staying at Maya's for a while, she said, until we can figure out the details. That's probably for the best. I'll have my lawyer draw up some papers. Your lawyer? You already have a lawyer? I've had a lawyer since Tuesday, Tara, right after I sent the fruit basket. Amazing how much paperwork is involved in expressing gratitude. The color drains from her face again. She's starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, she's been playing checkers while I've been playing chess. Tuesday afternoon, Frank stops by the job site with news and a six-pack of beer. We're working on a custom home for a tech executive, all clean lines and expensive materials, the kind of house that makes you feel successful just by building it. Your wife's been busy, he says, cracking open a bottle. Maya's been talking to anyone who'll listen about how you're psychologically manipulating Tara by controlling who she spends time with. Is that what I'm doing? According to Maya, you're a controlling narcissist who can't handle your wife having male friends. She's organizing some kind of support network to help Tara escape your toxic influence. I take a long drink of beer and watch the sun set over the half-finished house. Frank, do you remember when we built the Henderson place and the foundation kept settling wrong? Yeah, it took us 3 tries to figure out they'd been lying about the soil reports. What did we do when we finally had proof? We tore the whole thing down and started over. Exactly. Wednesday brings the first legal papers, divorce filing, temporary restraining order request, and a demand for immediate spousal support. Tara's lawyer is Rebecca Martinez, the most aggressive family attorney in the county, known for her scorched earth approach to divorce proceedings. The restraining order request is particularly creative. According to Tara's sworn statement, I've been stalking and harassing her by monitoring her activities, interfering with her friendships, and causing her emotional distress through deliberate public humiliation. My lawyer, Jim Patterson, is less flashy than Martinez, but twice as smart. He's been handling legal issues for my construction company for 10 years, and he knows how to build a case the same way I know how to build a house, with a solid foundation and attention to detail. She's reaching, Jim says, reviewing the papers in his office. The fruit basket thing is brilliant, actually. You never made any direct accusations, never threatened anyone, never did anything that could be construed as harassment. You just sent a gift with a thank you note. What about the restraining order? Judge Morrison will laugh it out of court. You can't get a restraining order against someone for being passive-aggressive. If you could, half the married people in America would have them. And the spousal support? Jim grins. That's where things get interesting. I've been doing some research on Mrs. Callahan's employment situation. Turns out her suspension isn't just about Facebook drama. There have been some questions about her expense reports, her use of company resources for personal matters, and her relationship with a certain coworker who happens to be married to someone else. What coworker? David Chen, married, 2 kids, works in IT. According to my sources, he and your wife have been having lunch meetings that last 3 hours and involve hotel receipts. The hits just keep coming. Tara wasn't just cheating with Trent, she was running a whole operation. Multiple affairs, financial irregularities, and now she's trying to paint me as the villain. Jim, I want you to file a countersuit. Adultery, financial misconduct, anything that sticks. And I want to freeze all joint accounts immediately. That's aggressive. You sure you want to escalate? I think about the Jeeps data showing trips to David Chen's apartment. I think about the credit card charges at expensive restaurants while I was eating sandwiches at construction sites. I think about 3 months of I love you too responses to my I love you that sounded like she was reading from a script. Jim, she fired the first blow and she decided to turn my marriage into her personal playground. I'm just returning fire. Thursday morning, Tara's credit cards start getting declined. Jim moved fast on the account freeze. And by noon, she's standing in my driveway screaming at me through the car window. You can't just cut off my money. It's not your money, Tara. It's our money. And since we're getting divorced, the court will decide how to divide it. I need money for basic necessities. You're staying with Maya. She can cover your necessities until the hearing. This is financial misuse. I get out of my truck and walk over to her car. She's got the window rolled down, her face red with anger, and I can see Maya in the passenger seat recording everything on her phone. Tara, you filed for divorce on Wednesday. You can't file for divorce and then complain when I treat you like we're getting divorced. Pick a lane. I just need access to some money. Enough for gas, food, basic stuff. Talk to your lawyer. I'm sure she'll explain how temporary support works. Maya leans over from the passenger seat. Nick, you're being completely unreasonable. She just needs a few $100s. Maya, with all due respect, this is between me and my wife. But since you brought it up, maybe you should ask Tara how she spent $3,000 at restaurants last month while I was working 60-hour weeks. Tara's face goes pale. How do you know about that? I know about a lot of things. David Chen, for instance. Nice guy. I'm sure his wife Jennifer will be very interested to hear about your lunch meetings. The recording phone in Maya's hand starts shaking. This conversation just took a turn they weren't expecting. You're bluffing, Tara says, but her voice lacks conviction. Am I? Want to test that theory? Friday afternoon brings the best news yet. Frank calls me at the job site, barely able to contain his excitement. Dude, you need to get down to the Rusty Nail right now. The Rusty Nail is our town's main gossip distribution center, a bar where construction workers, office employees, and retirees gather to discuss everyone else's business over cheap beer and expensive whiskey. I find Frank at our usual table in the back corner, nursing a beer and trying not to laugh. Maya and Jen are at the bar, he says quietly. They've been here for an hour and they're drunk, really drunk. So they're talking loudly about Tara. I look over at the bar and see Maya gesturing wildly while Jen nods along, both of them well past the point of discretion. The bartender, Tommy, is clearly enjoying the show, and I can see other patrons leaning in to catch every word. What are they saying? Everything. The affairs, the money, the lies. Apparently Tara told them you were controlling and emotionally manipulative, but now they're starting to think maybe she wasn't being completely honest. What changed their minds? Jen found out about David Chen. Turns out she had a thing for him herself. She's pissed that Tara never mentioned she was already working that angle. I order a beer and settle in to watch the show. Maya is in full confession mode now, telling anyone who will listen about Tara's complicated situation with multiple men, her financial problems, and her plan to take Nick for everything he's worth in the divorce. She said Nick was stupid, Maya slurs to the bartender, said he'd never figure it out because he's just a construction worker. But look at him now. He played her like a fiddle. Jen raises her glass in a mock toast to Tara Callahan, who thought she was smarter than everyone else and ended up outsmarted by a guy with a hammer. The entire bar erupts in laughter, and I realize that public opinion has officially shifted. In a small town, reputation is everything, and Tara's is now somewhere below pond scum. Saturday brings the nuclear option. Mrs. Grant calls me at 7 a.m., practically vibrating with excitement. Nicholas, dear, you need to see this. Veronica Brooks just posted something on Facebook that's, well, it's quite detailed. I drive over to her house and find her on the porch with her laptop, scrolling through what appears to be a novel-length Facebook post. She's documented everything, Mrs. Grant says, adjusting her reading glasses. Times, dates, photographs, text messages. Apparently, she's been investigating her husband's affair for weeks, and she has evidence of everything. The post is a masterpiece of public humiliation. Veronica has screenshots of text messages between Trent and Tara, photos of them together at restaurants and hotels, credit card records showing charges for gifts and romantic dinners, and a detailed timeline of their relationship. But the best part is the end, where Veronica tags not just Tara and Trent, but also David Chen, Maya, Jen, Tara's boss, and half the town. She's made sure everyone knows exactly who they're dealing with. Oh, and Nicholas, Mrs. Grant adds with a wicked smile. She's also posted your original thank you card. Apparently, she thinks it's hilarious that you figured out what was happening before she did. By Sunday afternoon, the post has been shared over 200 times, and Tara's phone number has somehow ended up in the comments section. Jim calls to tell me that Tara's lawyer wants to schedule an emergency mediation session. She's ready to deal, he says. Martinez called this morning, practically begging for a meeting. Apparently, her client's situation has become untenable. What kind of deal? Uncontested divorce, minimal alimony, split custody of assets. She just wants it over quickly and quietly. And if I say no, then we go to court, and all of this becomes public record. Every affair, every lie, every financial irregularity. Martinez knows her client can't survive that kind of exposure. I think about it for exactly 30 seconds. Set up the meeting, but I want everything documented. Every affair, every lie, every betrayal. She doesn't get to slink away quietly. Nick, you've already won. Why keep twisting the knife? Because she didn't just cheat on me, Jim. She tried to destroy me. She told people I was manipulative and controlling, stupid. She was planning to take my house, my business, my reputation. The only reason she wants to settle now is because her plan backfired. So what do you want? I want her to admit everything, on the record, in writing. I want a confession that she can never take back. Monday morning, we meet at Jim's office. Tara arrives looking like she hasn't slept in days, her hair unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, her face puffy from crying. Maya and Jen are conspicuously absent. Apparently, they've decided to distance themselves from the sinking ship. Rebecca Martinez looks like she'd rather be anywhere else in the world. She's built her career on aggressive tactics and intimidation, but there's no intimidating your way out of this situation. Her client is guilty of everything, the evidence is overwhelming, and public opinion has turned completely against her. My client is prepared to agree to an uncontested divorce, Martinez begins. We're willing to split assets 50-50 and waive alimony in exchange for a quick, quiet resolution. Jim slides a document across the table. That's not going to work. My client has prepared a counter-proposal. Tara's face goes white as she reads the terms. Complete financial disclosure of all affairs and expenditures, written admission of adultery with multiple partners, forfeiture of any claim to the house, the business, or retirement accounts. And a signed statement acknowledging that all allegations of misuse or misconduct against me were false. This is ridiculous, Martinez says. You're asking her to destroy herself. I'm asking her to tell the truth, I reply. Something she should have tried 3 months ago. Tara finally speaks, her voice barely above a whisper. What if I don't sign? Jim opens another folder and spreads out photographs, credit card statements, GPS tracking data, and recorded conversations. Then we go to court, and all of this becomes evidence. Your affairs with Trent Brooks and David Chen, your financial fraud, your plan to file false misuse charges, everything. You were recording me? Your husband was documenting suspicious behavior by his spouse, Jim says smoothly. All perfectly legal under New York state law. Martinez reviews the evidence for 10 minutes, then whispers something to Tara. I can't hear the words, but I can see Tara's shoulders slump in defeat. We need time to consider this, Martinez says. You have until 5 p.m. today, Jim replies. After that, we file everything with the court and let the judge sort it out. They leave without signing, but I know they'll be back. Tara has no choice, and Martinez knows it. At 4:30 p.m., they return with signed documents. Tara admits to affairs with Trent Brooks and David Chen. She acknowledges misusing marital funds for personal entertainment with her lovers. She confesses to making false statements about my character and behavior, and she agrees to give up any claim to property or support. There's one more thing, I say as she finishes signing. I want you to know that I never actually suspected you were having affairs at home. That was just creative writing for the thank you card. She looks up at me with red, swollen eyes. Then how did you know? GPS tracker in your car, voice recorder in your gym bag, credit card monitoring, bank account alerts. I've known about everything for 2 months. Why didn't you just confront me? I stand up and button my jacket, feeling lighter than I have in months. Because confrontation would have given you a chance to lie your way out of it. This way, you destroyed yourself. Martinez starts to object, but Jim cuts her off. The documents are signed. We're done here. Tuesday evening, I'm at the Rusty Nail celebrating with Frank and a few of the guys from work. The divorce is final, the house is mine, and Tara is reportedly staying with her sister in Albany until she can figure out her next move. I'm halfway through my second beer when David Chen walks in. He's a small guy, probably 140, soaking wet, with thick glasses and the soft hands of someone who's never done physical labor. He spots me immediately and walks over to my table with the determined stride of a man who's made a very bad decision. Nick Callahan? That's me. We need to talk. Frank and the other guys sense trouble and start to get up, but I wave them back down. Sure, David, have a seat. He remains standing, his hands clenched into fists that wouldn't intimidate a middle schooler. You destroyed an innocent woman's life. Did I? Which innocent woman are we talking about? Tara never meant to hurt anyone. She was just confused, lonely. You drove her to it with your neglect. I take a slow sip of my beer and study his face. He's genuinely angry, which means Tara fed him the same lies she tried to feed everyone else. David, how long were you sleeping with my wife? We weren't sleeping together. We were in love. Ah, love. That makes adultery so much more romantic. His face turns red. You don't understand. Tara was trapped in a loveless marriage with a man who didn't appreciate her. She needed someone who could see her worth. And you were that someone? I was trying to be. I stand up, and even though David is probably 10 years younger than me, I've got 6 inches and 50 pounds on him. David, let me explain something to you. Tara wasn't trapped in a loveless marriage. She was a married woman who decided to cheat on her husband with multiple men while spending his money and lying about his character. The fact that you were stupid enough to fall for her sob story doesn't make you a hero. It makes you a fool. You're wrong about her. Am I? Tell me, David, did she mention that she was also sleeping with her personal trainer? Or did she forget to include that detail in her tragic story? His confident expression wavers. That's not true. Frank slides a tablet across the table, showing Veronica's Facebook post with all the photographic evidence. It's all right there, buddy. Your girlfriend was running a whole operation. David stares at the screen for a long moment, his face cycling through confusion, realization, and finally, humiliation. She told me I was the only one who understood her. She told everyone that, I say, not without some sympathy. That's what cheaters do. They make everyone feel special. He sinks into a chair, the fight gone out of him completely. My wife left me, took the kids, filed for divorce yesterday. I'm sorry about that, I really am. But that's not my fault, and it's not my problem. What am I supposed to do now? Learn from it. Move on. Try not to sleep with any more married women. He nods miserably and starts to leave, then turns back. For what it's worth, I think she really did love you. At least at first. Maybe, but love without respect isn't worth much, is it? After David leaves, Frank raises his beer in a toast. To Nick Callahan, who proved that sometimes the best revenge is just letting people hang themselves. I'll drink to that. But the night isn't over yet. At 9:30, just as I'm getting ready to head home, Tara walks into the bar. She looks terrible. Her hair is stringy and unwashed, her clothes are wrinkled, and she's clearly been drinking before she got here. The entire bar goes quiet as she makes her way to my table, swaying slightly on her feet. Well, well, she says loudly enough for everyone to hear, if it isn't the smartest man in town. Hello, Tara. You look tired. Tired. I'm destroyed, Nick. Completely destroyed. No job, no money, no friends, no reputation. Are you happy now? I gesture to the empty chair David vacated. Sit down. You're making a scene. Good. Maybe it's time people heard my side of the story. Which story is that? The one where you're the victim, or the one where you admit you cheated on your husband with multiple men while trying to steal his assets? She sits down hard, nearly missing the chair. You think you're so clever, setting me up, manipulating everyone, playing your little games. I didn't set you up, Tara. I sent a fruit basket. Everything else was your choice. That fruit basket destroyed my life. No, your behavior destroyed your life. The fruit basket just made it public. She leans forward, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carries to every corner of the now silent bar. You want to know the truth, Nick? The real truth? Sure. I never loved you, not really. I married you because you were safe, stable, boring. I thought I could build a life with you while finding passion somewhere else, and it worked for years. The admission hits like a physical blow, but I keep my expression neutral. How long? Since before we got married. There was Marcus in college, then Steve from my first job, then Paul from the gym before Trent. You were always the backup plan, Nick. The reliable guy who paid the bills while I had my fun. The bar is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone is staring at us, and Tara seems to realize she's just confessed to years of systematic betrayal in front of half the town. But you know what the funny thing is? She continues, tears starting to flow. Somewhere along the way, I actually did start to love you. Not the passionate, crazy love I had with the others, but something deeper, something real. And by the time I figured that out, it was too late. I'd already destroyed everything. I sit back in my chair, processing this information. When did you figure it out? The day you sent the fruit basket. When I saw what you were capable of. How smart you really were. How perfectly you played the whole situation. I realized I'd been married to someone I didn't even know. Someone who was better than I deserved. So why didn't you stop? Why didn't you confess and try to work things out? She laughs bitterly. Because I'm a coward, Nick. Because admitting the truth would have meant admitting I'd wasted 10 years of both our lives. Because I thought I could still somehow win. The silence stretches out for what feels like hours. Finally, I finish my beer and stand up. Tara, I want you to listen to me very carefully. What you just said doesn't change anything. It doesn't undo the lies, the cheating, the manipulation, or the attempt to destroy my reputation. It's too little, too late. I know. But for what it's worth, I did love you. The real you, not the person you were pretending to be. If you'd been honest with me from the beginning, we might have figured something out. And now? I look around the bar at all the faces staring at us, then back at my wife, my ex-wife, sitting broken and defeated in a chair that suddenly looks too big for her. Now you get to live with the consequences of your choices, just like I get to live with mine. I drop a 20 on the table and head for the door. Behind me, I can hear Tara crying, but I don't turn around. Some bridges once burned can never be rebuilt. Outside, the night air is crisp and clean, full of possibilities. My phone buzzes with a text from Jim. House deed transferred, bank accounts finalized, you're officially a free man. I drive home to my house now, and pour myself a drink from the bottle of expensive whiskey I've been saving for a special occasion. Through the kitchen window, I can see Mrs. Grant's porch lights still on. She's probably already composing the Facebook post that will immortalize tonight's scene for posterity. Tomorrow, I'll go back to building houses. Good, solid houses with strong foundations that will last for decades. Tonight, I'll drink my whiskey and reflect on the fact that sometimes the best way to win is simply to let your opponents defeat themselves. In the distance, I can hear the sound of cars leaving the Rusty Nails parking lot, carrying tonight's story to every corner of town. By morning, everyone will know how this story ended, not with violence or revenge, but with truth, consequences, and the simple satisfaction of a job well done. I raise my glass in a final toast to personal bests and knowing when to disqualify the cheaters.